Michael Carrick is set to take charge of Manchester United on an interim basis, with that deal expected to be confirmed within the next 48 hours. Now, we'll be going through all the news, giving you my opinion on Michael Carrick, and ultimately giving you sort of the news, what has been going on with Manchester United. Now, Michael Carrick, again, was obviously someone who was heavily interviewed for that interim role with Carrick and with Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Now, it's not like Carrick has won that race and will be the guy to take over from Ruben Amorim and Darren Fletcher at Manchester United. Now, what I would say about Carrick immediately is I think he's a top manager and someone who gets the club. Now, the fact that he's beat Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, someone who was obviously preferred, apparently, to Ole Gunnar Solskjaer by Sir Alex Ferguson, which is certainly something interesting that you really need to kind of look at there. But listen, I think Carrick is the guy. Carrick will be the guy to come Manchester United's new interim manager to the end of the season. And again, he's someone who apparently does not want that job beyond sort of that period. Now, he was someone who was interviewed by Manchester United for that role, and ultimately he's going to get it. And I think what I would say in terms of Carrick, I think the interim period that he had at United, I think it was after Solskjaer got sacked, before we got Ranić, was a very, very good period. He played a 4-2-3-1 system. He actually had a decent sort of spell at Middlesbrough. I think he finished obviously 10th in his last season, which got him sacked. But there were some good finishes in there. He did have he had a 46% win ratio, which isn't great. But I think Carrick, someone who gets the club, someone who, again, on an interim basis, will be the manager. Now, United are planning to make a statement in the next 48 hours. And ultimately, the club will have decided that it will be Carrick to lead the team forward. Now, again, what I can say on that is I'm not angry, I'm not frustrated. I think Carrick's a top guy and a top professional. He's someone who, again, has managed United before. And I think someone who, under Ole Gunnar Solskjaer, was the guy who was credited with doing most of the coaching. So I don't think it'll be anything different there. Now, in terms of the system that he's going to play, and he's going to try and get the most out of these players. But he's someone who does know a lot of these players very well. Luke Shaw, he knows very, very well. Dalot, Maguire, Bruno. There are players in this squad that you will obviously get to learn and develop. Kobbie Mainoo, Shea Lacey, Jack Fletcher, Tyler Fletcher. There's a lot of young players in there, and you will have to show trust in them. But the fact that United have backed Carrick to take that role is something that is positive, in my opinion. I think in terms of, I would have preferred Ollie just based on the fact that he's been in the role before. But I think if you look at it from a point of Ollie's had his time at United to be the caretaker, to be the interim, I think now's the perfect time to give it to Carrick as a good role for him. And I think he does thoroughly deserve it. So, yeah, listen, Carrick is expected to become the new interim Manchester United manager from the end of the season. Coaching staff still hasn't been announced. I think it's going to be Fletcher and a few others. But again, that deal is getting very close, and here we go is expected soon for Michael Carrick to join United. Now, let me know your thoughts on him in the comments. I think for me, again, a guy who should be able to steady the ship. I've seen a lot of interesting quotes from Fletcher's post-match press conference in the game yesterday against Brighton, saying how the players are fragile. He said they're definitely good enough to get Champions League, but it's down to them to step up in the pitch. And in terms of now to the end of the season, the aim should be to get into that Champions League, or if not get into Europe at least. This is a team that are struggling, will play 40 games, which is the least since World War I, 1914, 1915, which is embarrassing in itself. So there's no excuse, there's no reason why this Manchester United team shouldn't be able to get into Europe and potentially into that Champions League. We know our only chance of winning the trophy is gone, with United being out of the FA Cup. And I think the main thing for United now to go forward is to make sure we consistently put in the job. And ultimately, I think the results are more important than the performances from now to the end of the season. And then there's a good group of players there. You've got the likes of Bruno. You need leaders who can step up. Your likes of your Maguire, your De Ligts, your Brunos, your Casemiros. These experienced players at Manchester United. But then you also need the new players that have come in, and the experienced players. I think Carrick will be very excited to do that. Now, again, not an easy 2 games to go into, straight with the Manchester derby and then Arsenal away. But again, he will have a couple of training sessions to prepare the team. And again, we'll see what it leads from there from United. But in terms of the end of the season and what that means for United, it means they're going to go out and get a new manager. Who that manager is, obviously, we don't know. The expectation is it be someone like Glasner, Iraola, someone who you can't get now. Obviously, that's why United have gone for an interim. And I think it's right to do that. I think bringing in a manager in the middle of the season, we've seen how badly that went for United last time around that they did it with Ruben Amorim. So I think waiting to the season was the best thing to do. Getting an interim in with the next player would hopefully bring some of the good vibes back. But yeah, Carrick is the guy to take over from Darren Fletcher United. And I think his tenure at the club can hopefully be a lot more positive. I wouldn't say he has a point to prove, but again, I'm sure we'll be very excited to take on the role. And again, United are more persuaded by him. Apparently, Wilcox wanted Ollie, but United are going to be getting Carrick. in that role. So yeah, and apparently the reason why Manchester United wanted him is because they felt that getting Solskjaer would be a step back, which again I can see. I mean, don't deal with the past, but yeah, the expectation is that that deal will be announced tomorrow. And people can talk about how his Middlesbrough team kind of fell off towards the end of his tenure, finishing 10th. But again, in the first kind of months at the club, it was promising. He was playing a fluid system. He was getting people into the box. He was scoring goals. And listen, hopefully he can get United into Europe. And ultimately, we'll be backing him to the end of the season to see what does happen. So, yeah, let's see what does happen. But let me know your thoughts on Carrick potentially joining the club in the comment section below. He's expected to take charge. Face-to-face contacts have done very, very well for him. So let's see what does happen.